What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 118 of Park to Prem here with Town or Town. Today, folks, starting season number 14. It's very, very exciting stuff. Before we get into it, just a reminder, Park to Prem t-shirts. You've not got long left to get these. They are available until the end of this week as you watch this. There'll be a link to the merch store down below. You can see the designs on screen, available in 4 colours. Get them before they're gone. And, today we're going to be kicking off the start of the new year against Southampton. And Southampton are a team that ordinarily I don't have any beef with, but they've got Vasily Ignatovic playing for them. But he is suspended because he was actually suspended for a game when he left us to go to Monaco. And, since then, he's not played in England. He's come back and he can't play against us. So, of course, we sold him for £8 million. Southampton bought him just 1 year later after an awful year in France for £5 million. So, apparently, great business by us last year. That's a good start to the year, Jack. Good transfer business. And while speaking of transfer business, we've been busy. You saw last episode we had £100 million in the bank. We don't have that anymore in the bank. Although, I will say, I asked Alex for more money because we have 132 million just sat around and he wouldn't give me any of it. So I'm anticipating that in 2 months' time, much like a few years ago, he's going to come back and be like, here's a load of money. And it's going to be a case of, I really could have done with this in the summer. Not now in November with the window closed. But yes, we have spent money. We have spent big. And I've built for the future a little bit as well. So let's talk about the ins and outs, shall we? We covered some of them a little bit last episode, teased a few. In terms of the outs, a few big sales really. CC has gone to Salzburg for £30 million. So, of course, we sold him originally for £9 million. We then bought him back for 15, but we got half of that money back. So we kind of signed him for 7.75 million. And now, just a few years later, we've sold him on for 30 million. I look forward to signing him in 2 years' time for 10 million and then looking to sell him on again. But at 24 years old, only really a backup player, £30 million for a player who was out on loan for the second half of last year. Just kind of feels like money you have to take. Ricky Williams has left us to go to Stoke. A bit of a shame to see him go, but he never really found his goal-scoring form during his time at the club. Signed for the Championship side for a massive amount of money. Huge profit made off him, which when you consider his performances for us, looks quite good. The fact he's had such an awful start in the Championship makes me feel that little bit better as well. And the last of the truly huge sales was Adrian Rodriguez, who has gone to Cologne, and he's gone there for £17.5 million. We signed him as a free transfer way back when, and we loaned him out last year in Spain. Levante paid for all his wages, and now we've made some very good money off him. And again, another good centre mid, not really going to burst into the first team though. At 22 years old, I feel like his improvement is done for the most part. It hasn't really improved in the time he was at the club. We did have a few other sales. I'll cover them really quickly. A lot of youngsters who just didn't quite make the grade in the end. So Dunkler's left us. He, of course, was one of the Austrian internationals that we signed. He was a left-back, and £10 million of him felt great. Diakite has gone to Stoke as well, so Stoke just turning into what Bournemouth is to Liverpool, Stoke are to us. They just like to overpay for our players. Diakite's gone to them. Good player, but he was never going to play for us in the first team. So to get the money we did, I'm pretty chuffed about. You can see Inangi's also left us. That's a bit of a shame, this one. But at 22 years old, he's not getting any younger. I don't see a world in which he's going to be good enough for the first team. Ultimately, though, signed for £21,000, sold on for £4.7 million. If that's considered a failed transfer, that's good by my standards. I feel like this is one of those disappointments where it's not quite worked out, but we've still made massive amounts of money. So is it really a loss at the end of the day? Anyway, some other players left us. Jamal Lewis, James Molyneux left us. That was a bit sad. And besides that, a load of loanings out. You'll notice that we are making use of our 2 new affiliates, Kukariki, and I know that some Serbians told me it's like Kucharici, I think is how it's said. No, it's Kukariki. I'm certain of that. And we've also loaned some players to Crew, who, of course, are one of our affiliates. So I feel like it's worth talking about these because some of our best young prospects are going to Crew. We've got Aghazamani, Aghazamani, that's a bad attempt at the sound. He's 18 years old, Iranian international, playing in League 2, and a few players have joined him. You can see here Blandford, who is one of our big, exciting prospects. Very keen to see how he can do playing regular League 2 football. But at 17 years old, he looks pretty ready for it. And alongside him, we've loaned out a few other players. You can see here Darren Budd, who's kind of a maybe player. He's at 21 now, but he's still got a lot of potential. Who knows? Maybe he could be a really late bloomer, but it feels unlikely. And also Danny Swan, who is definitely another one of our, players with a hell of a lot of potential. We'll see how they get on. We'll keep an eye on them. Crewe were relegated last year to League Two. They're predicted to finish first. We're going to hopefully help them by loaning them some players. And actually looking at it, they're playing our free players as free strikers. You'll love to see it. We'll keep an eye on them throughout the year. But on the ins, which is perhaps where things get most interesting, we've spent, oh my word, I've done it, folks, £126 million spent. Of course, £96 million made on sales is pretty good. I've spent very big on one player, and when I click on this, you're all going to feel underwhelmed. I'm asking for your faith. So we've got in Jackie Auger. He's a French player signed from Rennes. Definitely didn't sign him because he's called Jack. That may have been a factor. But I really like this guy for a few reasons. Firstly, professional personality. Great determination. Left-footed. We don't have a left-footed centre-back in the first team. 21 years old. Very young as well. He's only just turned 21. A lot of potential. And I'll say now that our head of youth development rates in one way, but if we just flick through here, lots of different scouts are telling me different things. I will say now I have scouted him since last January with a scout with 20 judging player ability and potential, and he was saying more of the 4.5 star range. So at this moment in time, I vote I'm going to ignore you, but if you were correct and he doesn't have that much potential, I will treat you as my new head scout and you can be promoted from head of youth development. But I really like this guy. Now, I know he's not got the most crazy tackling or aggression, but elsewhere, I feel like he's really, really well-rounded. He's good with the ball at his feet, which is nice. He's left-footed. He's 21. He has potential. I feel like there's a lot of upsides here. And ultimately, £44 million is not a small amount of money, but he strikes me as the kind of player who, even if he doesn't really develop, we should easily be able to get 30 to £40 million for in a couple of years. We'll look back on this one as either a stroke of genius or an absolute disaster. Unfortunately, he got injured right before the start of the season, so he's not available for today's game, at least as a starter. Anyway, our next big transfer, Mateus Aurelio, we talked about him before, but we triggered his release clause. He has joined us for £22 million. He becomes the highest earner at the club, which, to be honest, £95,000 for a Premier League player actually isn't that much in terms of wages, but it is the highest earner in our team. This year we go into the league with the third lowest wages. So we've gone up one. It's, I think, Derby County and someone else behind us, but our total wage spend is £1.4 million a month. But I really like this guy, obviously. He's using a big chunk of our budget. Really keen to see how he gets on. Unfortunately, he's been at the Olympic Games and he came back a couple of days ago, so he's a bit too tired to start. So unfortunately, all these new signings we're not going to get to see right away. Anyway, Kevin Deacon has joined us. Of course, he was on loan from Manchester United last year. We agreed £20 million to bring him in, and we managed to haggle them down to 16 million. I like this guy a lot. At 22 years old, English talent is pretty hard to come by. He's consistent, loves important matches. Training him to play left wing back, just the ideal backup wing back, who can play either side. Really like him a lot. And he is only 22, so he's not, at the peak of his career by any means. There's room for improvement. Anyway, obviously, we let go of Ricky Williams, so I needed a new fourth choice striker. Let me introduce you to Giacomo Palazzolo. What a name that is. Palazzolo is going to be a name I'm sure we're going to be screaming at the top of our lungs at various points in the coming years. 22 years old. Look at him. Just look at him. Signed for 13.75 million. What is there not to like? Maybe his pace could be a little bit better. Maybe his stamina's a little bit low. But for a player we've signed for half the price that we got rid of Ricky Williams for, I just think it's some really good business. I can't wait to see what he is going to get up to alongside Charlie Brown as our kind of secondary striking duo. Of course, this year we are in Europe, so rotation is going to be very, very important. Last year, I think we only used 22 first-team players. Our current first team consists of, I want to say, 27 players. Most of them will get game time throughout the season. Anyway, we come on to a load of youngsters, so I want to pick out a few that you're going to see a fair bit of this year. There'll be some more. If they start breaking through, we'll talk about them more. Segundas has joined us from Bayern Munich. We have paid big money for this guy, £9 million. He's gone straight on loan to a championship club at 18 years old. Looks like an incredible, incredible wing-back. A load of potential as well. It's not a small amount of money, but I feel like wing-backs are hard to come by, and this guy has a hell of a lot of upsides without too many glaring weaknesses for a player of his age. So we'll keep a keen eye on his development going into this year. Simeone Doria has joined us from Parma. Looks like a fairly solid deep line playmaker. At 18 years old, we've signed him for £5 million. It's not a small amount of money, but I think there's definitely room for him to develop in the coming years. Todd Swales is perhaps the best of a load of English players we've brought in. I have taken the shotgun approach with young English players. The reality is I didn't want to spend £60 million on one really good English player. I'd rather hedge my bets on a couple and hope that I can get them for a little bit cheaper. We've signed him for £2.5 million from our North East rivals. Again, there's not a great deal of weaknesses in his game. He's only 17, perfectionist personality. Hell of a lot to like there. And while two more players who are going to be featuring in the first team this year, Christian Castro is a fantastic little centre mid. With CC leaving us, and also Rodriguez leaving us, I do feel like there's an opportunity at centre mid for some youngsters to break through. Castro is a player who I think will do that. He's an Ecuador international at the age of 18, fairly professional personality, really well-rounded. I wish his mentals were a little bit better, but I'm willing to look beyond those. And the other player who I'm quite excited about is Son Jung-woo, who is a weird player. He's a striker naturally, but he has 14 marking. So you know what that means. It means I am training him to play box-to-box midfielder. I think he could do a really good job here for us. I feel like as a striker, he's just not got quite the speed that I would like in a striker. His finishing isn't super standout. I don't know. He doesn't look superb to me, and I actually think as far as centre mids go, he's pretty well suited to that. He's a regular international for the South Korean national team, so expect to see him feature from time to time in the first team this year. So anyway, those are the transfers of players who have come in. I have got some players coming for the future who I've spent big money on. There's three. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly. We'll talk about them more when they officially join. Two of them will be joining us in January, though, and the first of those is Valentin Tiella, who is a Mexican forward. And I really, really like this guy. Consistent, insane potential. Might not be able to adapt to England. Maybe we'll have to get him in a little Mexico amigo. But yeah, really, really like this guy. Super well-rounded striker, 17 years old. £4 million paid isn't the craziest amount. This kind of money is a little bit more crazy. The first player we've got is Matteo Legal, who we waited until he was 16 to sign. So it's not a illegal approach. There's going to be pun potential here, isn't there? He's 16 years old, though. He looks like an absolutely insane player, but he's injury prone. But he has got good natural fitness. So when he gets injured, he'll recover a little bit quicker. Crazy, crazy consistency. He's a very, very good centre mid with very, very good mentals. A good personality as well, at fairly professional. Not going to be joining us for a year and a half. This guy could be very, very special. I have spent £13 million on him. And well, we spent £15 million on a Brazilian. Shock horror, Jack brought a Brazilian regen. And it's this guy, Thiago Ulisses, who I'm probably going to refer to as useless quite a lot. He plays, as you can see here, for Sao Paulo. And he looks very, very good. Incredibly technically gifted, super well-rounded, consistent, adaptable, professional personality as well. There's so many big tick boxes being ticked off here. Crazy, crazy potential. I think he could be very, very special, this boy. Really, really do. And I do actually wonder if as a deep line playmaker, that might be his calling, to play him in the deeper defensive midfielder position as a deep line playmaker in the future. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, really, really excited about Mr. Useless here. I think he could be world class. He could be the pick of the bunch. A player who, I think when you look at him, you just know he's screaming quality. So few attributes below the 10 mark for a player who's only 17 with such good personality can only be a good thing. Anyway, you can let me know which of those players that I've just shown you think is going to be the big standout player for us. And well, the bizarre thing is that because of the type of transfer dealings we've done, the first starting 11 isn't actually that different today. Now, bizarrely, as I already mentioned, Mateus Aurelio has only just come back from the Olympic Games, so he's a bit tired. Auger recently picked up an injury, so he's not willing to start. I feel like I need to call Jackie Auger the Ogre. The French Ogre, or just the Ogre? You can let me know. Or the Joker? No, that's awful. There's nickname potential there. If you've got an idea for him, let me know. He's quite big and he's quite strong, like an ogre. I feel like it's got potential. Anyway, Soretta is also tired, but I don't really have another centre-back option. I think what might end up happening is we give Jackie a bit of game time for Soretta in the latter stages of the game. The rest of the starting 11 looks vaguely familiar, really. The only difference being that Highland this year is going to appear on the bench a lot more. I am going to be giving Leskinen the nod as that deep line playmaker on support. He looks so good at this role. He's improved a lot as a player. We did have an offer from Bayern Munich for him for £60 million, which I told them to go and get stuffed when they approached. I might need to give him a new contract. He seems a little bit concerned about it, but he has got 4 years left on his current deal. He's on peanuts as well. Yeah, I'm really, really keen to see what Leskinen could do here. The Finn just looks like a great player for us. Deacon is going to come in at right wing back. That does mean that Lazarus is going to be playing in a slightly, I don't want to say unconventional position, because he can play centre mid as a box-to-box player, but he's never played it for us before. We'll see how the Greek gets on. Of course, he will be playing more at centre mid this year once Aurelio is fit. Anyway, the rest of the team kind of picks itself. Shvetsov and Turnbull, two of the favourites for the Golden Boot, are going to be up top alongside each other. Soretta and Douglas keep their partnership at the back. Morrigan had an offer from Manchester United over the summer transfer window. Again, I told them to get stuffed. He's got a 4-year deal at the club. We have no reason to sell him. And they only bid £12 million, which, I mean, £12 million for Morrigan is an absolute joke for our captain. So yeah, they've not come back in since I rejected that offer. But yeah, the rest of the team is kind of what you'd come to expect. If you were wondering, by the way, about our media expectation, the media are saying 9th. I mentioned it last episode, or the last end of season episode. This year, given the fact we're playing so much European football, I would like to just target a top half finish. If we could break in and qualify for Europe back-to-back years, that would be superb. But I'm under no illusions about the fact that this year's going to be tough, just with the sheer quantity of games that we are going to have to play this year. And there is going to be a lot more demanded of our entire squad. It's going to really be a team effort this year. Last year, we kind of found our groove, found our starting 11 and stuck with it. That isn't really going to fly this year. Anyway, we'll see how we get on. We're at home against Southampton, a team who, well, we should really be expecting to beat. I back us to beat them. Of course, our starting 11 for today's game doesn't really feature any new names, bizarrely. I guess Deacon is now officially signed for us. In terms of their team, you can see how they are lining up here. They've got Lafont in goal, who I recognise. I don't recognise Burns. Masengo, why does your name ring a bell? You play for Monaco. I mean, he's good. He's not great, is he? Good hair, I guess. I mean, that might be a fear factor. Their striker, actually, I'm familiar with. He is a Lithuanian striker. He's quite blooming good. Or at least you'd think he'd be good, but then you actually look at his goal scoring and he didn't do that well for them last year, considering they spent £20 million on him. So going into this, given the fact we're at home, we should be beating them. The tactical system we're using for this year isn't changing at all. There is no new personnel. In many ways, despite the fact we've spent as much money as we have, you know, it's been a relatively, I don't want to say quiet transfer window, but certainly one where we won't feel the immediate impacts. I'm sure as we get through the season, we'll notice new players start to crop up. For example, players like Palazzolo, the new striker, he will get game time, I'm certain, as the season goes on. As well as the new centre mids, the South Korean lad and the Colombian lad will be given chances as, well, we're having a bit of a howler at the back to start. This is a bit concerning. Douglas runs to get back, Morrigan bails him out. I must acknowledge the fact that in the end of season wrap-up, a load of you mentioned how good Morrigan's been this year, and I just totally blanked on him, which I think is credit. I feel like when a goalkeeper's doing bad in Football Manager, you notice it. When they're doing well, you don't notice it, and well, when you notice strikers doing well, you just applaud. Shvetsov, 5 minutes into the season, gets his first goal. Leskinen with the assist as well. Next episode, by the way, is going to be our first matches as England manager. We are going to be taking on Shvetsov's Russia. So I'm a little bit scared for that. I might have to put all our players on easier tackling for England against Russia so that we don't risk getting Shvetsov injured. Is that immoral if I do that? Is that a conflict of interest? Perhaps, but they call me Mr. Conflict of Interest. I don't know what that means, but we'll go with it. But yeah, that's going to be next episode, which is going to be exciting. We're going to be giving Sonny Best an international debut. And Dylan Turnbull, I can't guarantee it, but I have a sneaking suspicion he might play for England in the next international call-ups. Anyway, Leskinen here, playing that new deeper role. He played the entire of last year as the box-to-box midfielder. Will be interesting to see how he transitions into his new role. He really was at the heart of a lot of our play last year. And well, he's been very influential so far this game as the ball's whipped in. It falls to Dylan Turnbull. Lazarus getting an assist from centre mid is superb. And well, the goal-scoring duo, Shvetsov and Turnbull, this is going to be their 5th season playing up top together. They've both got goals within the first half an hour of the season, which is exactly what you want to see. Nice build-up play here. The ball drilled in, came off the defender. Turnbull, though, alive to the threat, gets a toe on it. I feel like Lazarus was a little bit fortunate to be given the assist there. That was a very Football Manager assist. But we'll take it, and it's the history books won't care. You know, when people look in the history books at that Lazarus assist, They won't remember it for hitting the defender. They'll remember it as his assist to claim. You can see this first half has been crazily one-sided. 65% of possession. Of course, we've got such a young team this year that was another factor behind me not really changing a great deal. Our squad is so young that we're just going to keep getting better. So many of our starting 11 are only 21 years old. In fact, I think there's like 6 players who are 21. It's like a weird thing where they were all born in the same year and they've just all ended up at the same place at the same time. I feel like there's a few sci-fi shows that have that plot, where people are all born on the same day or something and they somehow link back together. It's like that here at Towlaw. There's something magical about the year 2011. Anyway, Andre, edge of the box. Andre, by the way, has improved so much. I don't want to say it too loudly. He might be one of our best players in the team. And that's not even favouritism speaking. Genuinely, he's absolutely nuts. Anyway, Deacon here. I mean, he's won a corner. I don't know how he's won a corner there. That was shocking by the right back. Just as a reminder, we paid £16 million for him. Anyway, Leskinen whipping it in. Turnbull near post. Cleared away only as far as Andre. Lays it off. Leskinen can't get the ball into the box. Southampton, they're being asked to defend a fair bit here, aren't they? We are dominating the possession of this game. We've dominated the flow of it. They've had 1 shot on target in the first hour. They've now got a set piece. I'm going to let the set piece play out because I think this kicked in before I hit pause. Oh my, okay, well, there's their second shot of the game. It's in the top corner. Robert Barnes. I mean, that's quite good, isn't it? I was about to make some subs. You could argue I was about to be complacent. I mean, it's a nut. I mean, I can't even blame Morrigan. He's not even very good. It's 9 long shots, my bumhole. Right, let's make some changes. What do I want to do? GCL, you've been poor again. Volta, come on down. Turnbull's on a booking. You know what? Palazzolo, this is your moment. And Aurelio. I mean, it sounds like I'm summoning him or something. We're going to see what the young Brazilian can do. He's the biggest earner at the club at right wing back. I expect him to score on his debut now. Palazzolo! Oh my word, I mean, there's an impact. I thought we might be saying his name a lot, as I alluded to before. Leskinen with a second assist in this game as well. I feel like he could turn into a little assisting machine now as both our set-piece taker and our deep-line playmaker. But what a ball in. And Palazzolo, who is very good in the air, just at the near post, nodding it in. And whilst the fans may have been rolling an eye as I took off Dylan Turnbull, that decision feels justified now with that goal. The ball's ended up at the back of the net here, but I think VAR's about to rule it out. Because that was, we didn't even see the start of the highlight. The ball was just in the back of the net. What happened here? I mean, there's only there's actually only one of them offside, I think, or 2 of them offside. But there was 5 Southampton players all stood around the last man there. Anyway, I've not got shouty yet. We'll do it once more to end this first game of the year. It wouldn't be a match if I didn't get shouty. It finishes 3-1. Dominant display. Leskinen player of the match. What a start to his new role for him here. That's very cool to see. Hopefully, he's just going to nail down that deep line playmaker for us. Maybe he can become the Finnish Pirlo. You can see with that, we're up to 6th, everyone. We're in the European spots. We can't get too carried away, unfortunately. Palazzolo, though, goal on his debut. 16 heading, 14 jumping reach. He can do stuff on set pieces, and we saw it firsthand there. It was a great little header guided home. Soretta is jaded and in need of a rest. We've got only 5 days until our next game because we did play the Monday night match. It's a bit annoying for Soretta because he's been at the Olympic Games where he's been playing, so he's not really had a rest over the summer. So it's a similar story with Mateus Aurelio as well. I'll tell you what might end up happening is we might end up doing a bit of rotation. In an ideal world, I see this as my best 11 with Soretta and Auger playing alongside each other and Douglas on the bench. I will say that I don't think there's a great deal to separate our defenders right now. I think what my opinion of our current team is will change over the course of the next 6 months, certainly as we start to get more familiar with the new shape and stuff. But yeah, this is what I envisage our best team to be once we really get going. But I do feel like that might take a little while just with all the fixtures we've got piling up. Anyway, you can see we've got 3 Premier League matches. We then have an international break. So tomorrow, first games as England manager, we're going to be doing Croatia and Russia. I have mentioned it before, but with the international management stuff, I'm only going to focus on major tournaments for the most part. but with it being our first games in charge and it being against Croatia, where we'll have Smoljo, Kosic, Mr. Dessa all playing against us, it should be interesting. And of course Russia as well, where Shvetsov plays. I feel like it's worth doing those first games. And then following on from that, to start your weekend, or rather, to start your week, it will be Saturday when we do those videos. We're going to be doing our first ever games in Europe. We don't know who we're going to be playing yet in the Europa League, but we will be playing someone come the 16th of September. So keep an eye out for that. But anyway, folks, that is going to be all from me today. Thank you so much for your support as always. If you've enjoyed today's video, do drop a like on it. Let me know what you made of our transfer dealings. I realise that in the Ogre I have potentially overspent. I think it's one of those dealings where we'll have a pretty good idea in 3 or 4 years of if it was worth overspending on him. I am quietly confident, however, but no, time will tell. But yeah, that's all from me. See you again tomorrow. Thank you for your support on the series. Check out the Park to Prem shirts link down below. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. It's me, Jack, and I'm out.